Okay, thank you.
I'm going to call this meeting of the Oroville Art Commission. Start with roll call.
Commissioner Bunker. Commissioner Draper.
Here.
Commissioner LeGrone. Commissioner Wentz.
Here.
Chair Tamori.
We'll now stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Commissioner Draper, would you like to lead us?
Sure.
Ready? Pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. So instructions to individuals that wish to speak. If you'd like to address the commission at this meeting, request that they complete the new speaker request form. Everybody want to do that? Got a couple. We've got one, right? Okay, so public comment.
Commissioners, I apologize. I'm losing my voice, so bear with me. We have first two public speakers. We have Ted Hansen up first.
Thank you for this opportunity.
No, I don't want to pitch. I'm good. All right. Anyway, I just wanted to give an update on the mural. So the gold, over by the gold store. We have 4 days left of putting in the 3D part of the miner's shaft. I was just going to show you. You can. We're putting in a lot of 3D detail now. And I also, so at some time I'll need to get a hold of somebody to have you come and inspect it. That's part of the contract. You're supposed to come and inspect it and sign it off. And then I would like to ask about maybe a proposal to finish the wall. The part that we're doing right now in the building is 18 feet high by 72 feet long. And we're doing it for way under what we should be doing it for. But we appreciate the idea that you let us paint, which is a great thing. But I would like to ask if there's a way that I could ask for a proposal to finish the wall. I got the permission from the owner. And what we'd like to do is, now we have the mine shaft and all these rocks, we'd like to put in an area where the river is coming down and some miners panning, and with a donkey and a little place where they're sleeping with their tents and Table Mountain. But anyway, that's what I was asking for.
So I understand there'd be a new proposal for NOFA's coming up, so that would be the time you could do that.
Mr. Hanson, how much are you asking for? Wait, is this on? Oh, there we go.
Oh,
There we go. How much are you asking for, and is this a time-sensitive issue, or is this something that could wait for the next NOFA?
well,
if we approve it today?
we could wait. I haven't wrote up the price right now. Yeah, with the weather and everything, I can't do anything right now.
Okay, and without a price, we
But
probably couldn't
I'm
approve it
just,
today anyways.
I'm just asking, because we really did it, my example would be a painting that size back there on that bulletin board. Frank Wilson would sell that for $25,000. And we just did it 18 feet high by 72 for $8,000. But because we wanted the project. We wanted to be able to start painting. So that's why we did it. Okay.
It looks great.
Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Don't forget your phone.
Oh, yeah. Here's your phone.
The next speakers, I have Carissa Nelson and Chrissy Riggs.
Looks really neat, by the way. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Carissa and this is Chrissy, and we are both on the board for the DBA. And since the BID was established, we've established some committees of our own, one being our beautification committee. So we wanted to speak with you guys today because we're working on creating goals and a vision for the downtown area. And since you guys are awarding grants for projects in that area, we want to be able to work with you. And so we're just here to kind of see how we can do that and start that relationship with you guys.
Yeah, part of what this looks like is that we've created and we're in the process of creating a vision for what we want the aesthetics of downtown to look like, and some things that we don't want involved and things that we definitely do want to embrace. And one of the things that came in the conversation was, for example, I'm on the Parks Commission, and we have a representative from the docents who's continually a part of our agenda and speaking with us about the docents to better bridge that gap. And so we'd kind of like that similar concept where we're able to work with you guys and ensure that the projects that you're funding, especially in the downtown zone, meet and align with our goals as well. Perfect. So, however you see that best fit, we are happy to be at your mercy. That's all.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to move on to approval of minutes. Commissioners would like to review that and make a motion?
I move we approve the minutes from October 8th, 2019.
I'll second that.
Oh, let's see. What's on here? Okay, motion was carried unanimously. Okay, we now have a request from the Birdcage Theater about extending a contract, and let's see. Commissioner LeGrone has stepped out. She is recusing herself because she's a member of Birdcage Theater. So,
So what we've received is a letter that you have in your packet from the Birdcage Theater because of the time it took for the city to get them their proposal and the weather changing. They're requesting an extension, just to be able to gather their supplies. Their artist ended up being busy because of the time it took. And so they're asking for an extension through May 30th of 2020. The applicant is also in the room if you have questions for her. But that's basically what they're asking. If you guys approve the extension, then it would go to the council for final approval for their extension.
This isn't, you're not asking for any extra funds, just a little bit more time, right? And and what happened? How come it took longer than anticipated?
Because of
step up to the podium, please, and introduce yourself.
Sorry. How do I do this? Oh, it's on. Hi, I'm Jennifer Beers. I am currently the VP of the Birdcage Theater, and we got the granted the NOFA to do the mural, and we didn't get the contracts right away, so the materials, we needed that in order to order materials. So now the materials are ordered because we have the contracts, but the artist is unable to work on it so quickly because it was supposed to be done by January. So we don't have the time to get it done by the deadline. So I'm asking for more time.
You know, it's only 5.5 months, and if there's no change in the amount of money involved, I don't have a problem with that.
I move that we allow the extension of the deadline.
I'll second that.
Thank you.
Okay, it has been approved, extension, and we'll continue on. Thank you. Okay, the next order of business is a discussion about the Sierra Pacific Public Art.
Sure. So the Planning Commission basically stated that the staff that were in the department prior approved this contract, or approved this artwork with Sierra Pacific directly, and made the decision that this was what he felt was appropriate artwork for the project. And then that's what our current planning department inherited. When they tried to talk to Sierra Pacific to see if we could take it to the Arts Commission for final approval, they informed us that the artwork had already been designed and was ready for install, and in an effort to not make the situation worse with the applicant when it's not their fault that our staff were not in line with the process, Wes in the planning department did approve their contract or their project as it was designed. Again, that department is aware that you guys want to see all future projects. This was one of the ones of the loose ends that needed to be tied up. And he did say he apologizes for that, but wanted to make sure you guys know that he does plan to bring future projects forward to you. And he hopes that you guys are at least see that it was artwork and it wasn't just nothing that was done with those funds. But the future ones will be brought to you. So if anyone has,
I know it takes a while to get it. I mean, I certainly don't want the business owners to have to be at the, to get anything pushed back because of us. I think last time we spoke, we had kind of discussed a little bit about how to approach this moving forward, because I know you had just said that he would bring it to us first. But if we have him bring everything to us first, I'm worried that that could kind of mess with the business owners, and that could kind of slow their process down, because I know it's already a timely process to go. So as far as this one is concerned, can you remind me exactly what that piece of art was?
so if you look in your packet, there is
Page 11 and 12.
Okay, thank you.
yes, on page 11, if you look at it, that is, so to meet their art requirement with their expansion, they decided to create an artistic fencing. And so this is fencing in front of their place. It's actually, as far as I understand it, it's already installed, so you could drive down Fifth Avenue and actually see it now.
Did they install the one on page 11 or the one on page 12? Because they're different.
I believe that,
Face each way.
yeah, I
Oh,
believe
they
that
did.
it's both of them.
Okay. Well, I don't have a problem with it. I mean, in the future, we'll be getting them beforehand.
Yes.
And I think this one looks pretty nice, luckily.
Yeah, go look at it in person.
You don't think?
I was
haven't
not impressed.
Okay.
But the thing is there not an amount that they're supposed to give or put towards this project?
So they're supposed to spend the 1% either way.
And how much was their thing that they did? Because there's no way that could be 1%.
So I will say that Wes did not give me that information. I could probably have it for you at the next meeting. But
I'm just saying, there's looking at it, driving by and looking at it. I mean, I didn't get out of the car and measure or anything, but driving by and looking at it, there's no way that could be 1% of that project.
well, I could definitely ask him for more information on it. And we can see if there
I think
is.
they kind of skittered under that one a
Well,
little bit.
and too, you got to
but-
remember that prior staff worked out the project with him, and it was one of those kind of, how do you go back to them and say, sorry, like, this is no longer going to work, like, we
Well, I
want you
mean,
to do
it's-
this.
Are you saying it's not up to 1% or it's over 1%?
I don't believe it is. I don't believe it is.
We don't know
don't
because she
know.
wasn't given a dollar
Oh, okay.
amount for the
It's
project.
about that size of the screen
Oh.
on the fence. It's not the whole fence. It's about that size.
Is it down the whole fence? I haven't
No,
seen.
there's two of them. One facing one way and one facing the other way.
Interesting. Okay, I will ask.
Just
I will
saying.
ask, and definitely
Thank you.
I can let you guys know at the next meeting, or even email you the
I mean,
information.
they've already done it. It's up and it looks okay, but I mean, I can't believe that it's 1% of that project. Because that's a huge project they did. So just for future. So
So I'll move that we approve this.
It's just a discussion item because it was already approved at staff level. But as we've discussed, the future ones will be brought to you.
Good enough.
Good deal.
Are we giving it our blessing? Is that what we're doing?
It was more just information because we didn't want you to be blindsided by it later.
Okay. All right, next order of business is the NOFA timeline for current projects and future projects.
So I was supposed to have someone else here with me today to talk about this, but I'm by myself. So it's been directed to me that we not open another NOFA until a couple of these projects are off of the table. And so until at least half of them are done. I don't have direction from my superiors to release a NOFA. That could be fairly soon, given that stage was mostly done, and Ted's saying that if he gets some dry days, his may be pretty quick. But with the timeline, stage was slated to be done by January 31st. Birdcage, you just gave an extension through to May. Ted and Frank's project is through July 1st, and the ODBA is through July 1st. So if Ted's finishes early, we could be looking at February, March, but that's the direction coming down to me. And right now, Stage and Ted and Frank are the only ones that are expending funds out of their actual NOFA. So I don't know if you have questions for me, but
What was their reasoning for that?
just that in their mindset, it doesn't make sense to have multiple projects open, running at different timelines. Let's finish up or get this one on the closing end before we start opening other projects.
So maybe in the future, maybe we need to be more exact in saying that you need to have your project done within 3 months' time or a quarter or something
Yeah.
like that. It sounds like it could be an administrative issue, perhaps, like it's too hard for them maybe to keep on.
Well, I
kind
think
of-
part of it is there's not, other than myself, there's not anyone else assigned to you guys right now. And I know that that's changing eventually, but, and so, I mean, as you were aware, this last time it took me a while to get some of the contracts out because I also have to do all the clerking regular responsibilities. And so I eventually got the contracts out, which delayed some of their projects a little bit. But I think that now I've gone through the process again too. So when some of these are off the plate, if they haven't assigned a new staff member, it'll be a little bit easier to get the contracts out just because now I've gone through it and haven't had to figure it out. So, but
And the way the NOFA works, correct, is that they give the city of Oroville the bill, and the city, or NOFA, correct, they pay it.
yes.
It's so, there's no way that we can circumvent that and just give them a check at the beginning to do their work or to pay them back at the end of when they're done
There
instead of installments.
has been, in some of the notes from prior staff that were helping with this process, there was discussion about, is it possible to give them the money up front, the money up front, and I think we would have to just check with legal on what the ramifications are of that. I don't think it's impossible, but it's harder to get money back that people don't spend than it is to have them spend it and get reimbursed. But there was discussion about it in the notes from the staff that I saw, mostly because such as, we've got a couple entities that applied for it, so it's easier for them to maybe cut a check and get reimbursed. But then we've got individuals applying too, and they don't necessarily have $8,000 sitting in the bank waiting to do a project.
My concern is, and I know I sound like a broken record that I say this every single time, but we have so much money sitting there, and it's our responsibility to spend that money and to help Oroville become a more beautiful place. And we have, over 6 digits now sitting in that account, right? And the longer we wait, we're gonna be gone. I mean, I know my term's only 2 years, I think, and so it goes by quick, and then we're gonna get new people in, and new stuff is gonna happen. I feel every time like to keep pushing it back is it's not beneficial to our community, that we need to find a way to spend that money. I was hoping we were going to open this up today, and I think maybe what we should do at a minimum was at least start accepting applications, and maybe don't have a timeline per se, say we're going to open it up as soon as it's administratively possible for us to do so. But if we could get that in and say, okay, everybody get in your applications before the first of the year or by January 15th or something like that, because it's the holidays, whatever. Maybe then we can take a look and see actually what they're requesting. You know, we might be getting in, if we have $100,000 in there, there might only be requesting 50,000 or something. We don't really know what the request is. So, I mean, I don't know how far we can go with it, but I would recommend that we try to at least open up for applications and just say that there's a due date for the application, and then we can try to like streamline the process to make it easier for the city, because I know it's a lot to ask. Oh, we're going to keep on going more and more and more, because I think we'll back ourselves into a corner then too. Somebody says, hey, I made this beautiful project and I spent $15,000, here's my bill, and we go, wait a second, we can't cut that check for you for 2 months. Could put them in just as detrimental a situation, I think. But I don't know if anybody else has anything to say on that.
The only comment I have is there were more than just these 3 projects that were approved from the last NOFA. What is the status of those others? Because there were like 6 or 7 to my best of my memory.
You guys approved, there was 6 projects, and you guys approved 4 of them. The other 2, you said that you would be willing to consider looking at them in the future if they wanted to bring something back. The one, the Arts Commission didn't like the specific design, but they liked the idea of the project. And then the other one, the lady didn't have a location for it. And
That's
so
right.
you guys didn't say that you wanted to nix them all together, just that they needed to bring them back. The one, the Rainforest Cafe is currently, or Rainforest Project, sorry, I don't know why I said that, is working with the city currently to look at designing the wall coming down by the fish hatchery and the roundabout. And so I do know that once they get further along in their project design, that I believe that our city administrator wants to bring that to you guys for input on that before it goes back to the council, because they're considering, if you guys like it, that may be a good fit for the Arts Commission.
Okay, and just to clarify, because I've been through the NOFA process, we can't even, in order to even accept applications, workshops have to be held and stuff. So it's more than just saying, we're going to open it up for applications. It's a much longer process, and that's because it's grant money and we have to do it in this certain way. So we wouldn't be able to say, we're just going to take applications, as of January 1st. There has to be a workshop that's held, and there's a whole bigger thing than just that, unfortunately.
Would it be possible then to start the workshop? Would it be possible then there we go. Would it be possible to schedule a workshop then and get at least rolling on this? Does anybody else up here feel any time, like, you guys want to move?
I'm in agreement that, I don't understand. I mean, I do understand it from the perspective of staff trying to keep up with this. But like Jackie said, she's been through this process enough now that I think, she'd be okay. But I also feel like, the time is going by and the money is just sitting there. And I don't have a problem with trying to expedite things if we can, to schedule a workshop or whatever to kind of get started on the new year.
So I can definitely speak with my supervisors and see what kind of timeline we can establish. If I can get an agreement to establish a timeline that will be prior to your February meeting, then I can talk to you guys about a special meeting. If I can't get them to agree to something prior to that, then maybe I can have a timeline at that meeting that's more solid, that we can maybe kick it out right out the door at that meeting. I'm kind of in a position where, like, I'm trying to get these finalized. I also believe that they want to come forward with the wall project for you to look at, which I have no idea how much that funding is. And so I think that is part of why management is not ready to release the NOFA yet, is because they want to be able to give you solid numbers on, what the project that is on the table looks like and what it'll cost and what is left in the account if we fund that project.
Okay.
And so, like I said, I can talk to them if they feel that a special meeting is appropriate, then we can do that. If they're ready more so to give you more information in February, we can do that. We can always shorten the timeline the other way. So say they are willing to release it in February, we could have just like a 1 month application open period and try to move the process along quicker that way too.
So I'm in agreement with my colleagues here. This is my second term, and we've completed one mural, and I feel the same way, that if we could make it more user-friendly and somehow speed the process along, it would be really a good thing. I thought we were also, we asked for an update of any new businesses and any new funding that our committee received. I thought we were going to get that at each of our meetings.
So we have not received any new funding since the last.
No growth, okay.
How about Kentucky Fried Chicken?
He did not give me an update on that, so I will follow up with him to find out what happened with that. So I'll put that down.
I was just going to interrupt. I know you're in the queue. But when you think about it, we only have like 4 meetings left, right? This next year in 2020. And so we're going to have to get on the ball if we get anything done before the next year ends. Looks like.
Yeah. Any other comments? Okay, so
Well, you can ask for public comment. Sorry, you can ask if there's anyone.
oh, and from the, yes, Mr. Hanson.
Understanding that we already applied and we have the structure is already there with the owner on the building and everything else, extending it, would I have to go to a workshop and go through that whole process again if we just extend the mural that we're doing right now? Because I will be done in 4 days.
So, go ahead.
The way I remember it, the workshop was not mandatory. It was voluntary, so I believe that we would do that again. It wasn't, you had to be at the workshop. We were holding
Right.
a workshop because the application is a little cumbersome, but, you've been here and done that, so I wouldn't think that you would need to go to the workshop or anything like
either.
that. You would
Okay.
just need to resubmit the application.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have.
Okay, so no further comment. We'll move on to the our City of Oroville mural policy. So our commissioners, you have that policy on your back of your packet.
So that was just for informational purposes because a couple of the Arts Commission meetings, you guys have asked, what is the city murals policy? The mural policy only pertains to murals that the city purchases and paint or gets artists to paint. And so if there's a mural in town that is removed, that is not one that the city originally had installed and maybe the property owner did it themselves, we have no way of policing that art project.
So a couple comments. One, I'm familiar with the mural of the mine, and there's a way that it is preserved that I think we should all be aware of and maybe look into that to preserving our other murals. They have like a acrylic finish they put on it, and then after that dries, they put a turpentine base protection, and then what happens is if it gets vandalized, you take solvent and wash that off, and you still have the acrylic surface. So for all of our murals, maybe we should
Good idea.
possibly look into funding to finish those and preserve them that way. It's supposed to be more vandal-proof. So, and then, yeah. Also, there is a mural that disappeared right down the road here. And was that a city-approved mural? Because I was kind of concerned that it was there one day and then painted over next time I was downtown.
So I don't think any of the staff are actually able to figure that out. And because there's a couple that you guys discussed, and the current staff are not aware if the city paid for those murals or not.
Well, Ms. Draper.
I could add a little bit to that. After a city council meeting, Billy Spear came up to me and mentioned that he's involved with that building, and that they had, the mural was peeling and they had to paint over it. And he said that they would like to redo it. And so he's interested in applying for a grant from the city to help pay for that. But he is interested in having it replaced. Okay.
Well, it was similar to the one that Ishii mural was in bad repair, and so that was finished and redone. I'm not sure if they asked for permission for that, though. I can't recall.
And basically, it's their job to maintain it, and so if they fix it and it's one of our murals, they're in compliance with our contract. It's that if they paint over it and don't do anything about it, that they wouldn't be. But again, that's the $1 million question: was the train ours or not? But as Ms. Draper said, that they are looking at coming to us and requesting funding to replace it.
But they didn't request us to look at it to see if it was that bad in the first place.
No.
So there's the problem, or a problem that we need to address policy-wise.
But I don't think that
Oh,
one was funded. The one here on the building, I don't think it was city funded.
oh, okay, so,
Okay, that would make a difference then, yeah. Okay.
And so then the other question, just to, as the finish up my reports, the current balance of the account for the Arts Commission is $157,960.37. And just as a reminder, there's about 104,000 that's, sorry, 104,000 that's available after we've expended all the money for the grants that are currently open.
104,000?
Mm-hmm. And again, I think that if we can get some more solid numbers and a proposal to you for the wall coming into town down by the fish hatchery and get a timeline for the NOFA, I think that those two will kind of coincide with being able to let you guys know where we're at with funding that can be released.
I just thought of one other one too. Chipotle is new in town, so we should be getting some money from them too.
I'll check with.
And I'm not sure if we ever got anything from where Verizon is now, that it's behind Wendy's.
So at the last meeting, and I don't have that list with me, I know there was a list of businesses that
Kind of
were in that transition period, and I think Verizon was on that list, but I can double check with that one as well.
Okay, I was just thinking of new buildings that I've been noticing, but at least those two fast food places should be able to give some. Thank you.
So the last little thing, your voice for the arts logo will be placed on all murals of design in the future. Did we do that for the Ishii mural and at
So-
the superintendent's office yet, or?
You know, I'm not sure. I know that,
We had a dedication, but I can't remember if we.
and I'm not sure either. I can definitely go by and see if it's there and go from there.
Okay, any other discussion on the?
Oh, sorry, one last, because you had asked about the Voice of the Arts Award. My plan, the State of the City last year was in April, and so I've got that on the books with the State Theater again for this year. I don't have the date with me, I apologize. But so my plan was to get the Sam Norris Award and the Voice of the Arts Award out in January, so that hopefully at your February meeting, I'll have some applications to bring to you to pick who you guys want for the Voice of the Arts Award, to then move forward to the council to get it ready and get the awards ordered.
Are all our council members aware of the Voice for your in the Arts Award, what it's about, or?
I mean, it went to the council last year, so the new council members will probably learn more about it when it
Okay.
gets released again.
Okay. Any other discussion about the policy? Then we'll go on to the administrative report. Any information pertinent to the Arts Commission? These are like community things too? So I'd just like to announce that we have our Lights of the Season Community Band and Choir presentation on Saturday. So Michael Walker is the current Oroville High School band instructor. He's leading the community band now. He's recruited some of his band members, and they're sounding really good. And then April Taylor is leading the choir, so be singing with them. So I mean, you know, if you're there, if you have that time available, I'd like you to support them. Any other things? No? No plays?
Technical difficulties every time. I don't know if any of you guys went to the Christmas preview downtown, but it was very well done. There wasn't a whole lot in attendance, but I think a lot more people are going to be coming. I was very impressed by it. One of the things that I did realize that really stood out to me was that the ballet group had their dancers in the windows, and it was absolutely beautiful. And it just made me think of them because I remember that one of the owners came to one of our meetings, and it's something to consider because when we're thinking about how to spend this money for NOFA, I think that we might come across some non-traditional asks, such as dancers in the windows and things like that. But when I saw what they had done down there, it was beautiful, and it made the whole thing feel so Christmassy and so alive. And I think that was that DBA. You guys did such a great job. Really, it was really nice. So I'm excited to see what you guys continue to keep doing with it because I think it's going to be a great thing for Oroville.
And
It's the tree lighting this Friday.
Yay! What time is that? 6? 5?
The tree lighting is at 6, and then you could go to different businesses and get cookies and treats from 4 to 6. Also, there will be carriage rides.
I was just going to add that the ballet dancers are the work of Trish Young, and she's their instructor and really a neat lady.
Thank you. I noticed the young man turned in another blue card. Is it not appropriate to recognize it since it was late, or?
I honestly wasn't sure if it was for the Arts or Parks meeting. For this one? Okay, because we did have public comment, so that would be up to you as the chair if you want to. I'll acknowledge him.
Well, we still have 20 minutes. Is it okay with the other members? Want to introduce yourself and?
Hello, my name's Ben. I actually I came back from Chico and I realized the meeting was today, so I was kind of a little bit unprepared. But I presented an art piece maybe like a couple months ago,
Okay.
and we found a spot for it. His name's Paul. He owns like a building on Myers, and then the alleyway that is on the right side of the street. He would like to do it there, so I was gonna ask like for permission and possible funding. I know I heard you guys talk about the application process and everything, but I was just wanting to get approval from you guys and then start the application process if I get approval for it.
Yeah, so we have the process. I think the form is online, so you can kind of get a review of what it. No, they're not. Okay. I would suggest maybe you talk to Ted there because he went through it and see if he could coach you a little bit. And then in February, we're slow, like you've heard. So but we're not, we're trying to encourage you to.
Is the same application process as far as funding and approval goes? Is that they both go hand in hand? Or like, say if we had the funding for it, but just need approval, is it the same?
We'd have to see what your design is, and then our work would be to make sure it meets our standards. But if you look at is it possible for him to get a copy of our mural policy? Because if you look at that, that'll give you some guidelines.
Sure, so the mural policy is on our website in this agenda packet, or you can always stop in the office and get a copy. It sounds like two different things. If you're going through the NOFA, you would want to wait for the NOFA to open, and then you can go through that process. If you already have funding for the project, then you need to start with going to the planning department and make sure that there's no permits or anything that you need to go through there. And then the planning department can kind of direct you through that process for what you would need to do to get the mural done if you already have your own funding.
So it kind of makes me think of another question. What about people that don't want to have funding and they just want to do a mural on their building? What's their policy there?
They would need to go through the planning department.
Okay.
And I'm not going to say this to upset anyone, but I'm not sure if it goes through the Arts Commission or not at that point, because there's a historical review board that is separate, that approves changes to the historical district. And so in his case, I believe his project would go to the Historical Review Commission, but I'm not 100% sure if it would come to the Arts Commission or not.
Cool, yeah, thank you.
Seems like if it's a private building and a private funded thing, then it's probably not, I would imagine it wouldn't have to come through us. But if you're looking for funding through them, then it would have to come.
But there still is other protections that are in place to make sure that it meets the aesthetics of the historic district and everything.
If you're outside the historic district, though, I imagine that's.
And I'm not sure if there's anything, again, it would be the planning department that you would want to go through just to make sure that you don't miss a step in an approval process.
And that may just be something you might want to consider if it does seem difficult to get it through a historic to come outside of the downtown area. You know, you could even go into the greater Oroville area, and that might be a little bit more lenient if you have private funding.
Thank you.
Thank you. So our next meeting is Tuesday, February 11th, 4 o'clock. I move that we, if there's no further business, move that we adjourn this meeting. Did we just hit this? Oh, yeah, got it. Thank you for coming, everybody, and your efforts.
Are you on this next meeting also? Okay, I was going to talk.